So, Gaston, please share with us your experience with salt.
With salt, wow. I got to know the salt approach actually through my work because I was with the Constellation as member of their support team since 2008 until what is it now 2012, I think. For almost 5 years I worked with them full time. And so in the early days, that was the first time I remember in Thailand probably that I got in touch with the salt approach. And so since then, I've been exposed to that. I've been facilitating that approach in many different places and countries around the world. And I guess I've been learning every time more and more about what's actually in that approach, because there's many different layers. Sometimes it can seem very superficial, right? We just appreciate strengths. We just, support and listen. Well, I support and listen before, but there's a nuance there, and there's a profoundness, I think, that I've gathered over the years, where first of all, there's a lot of subtle details in how we listen for strengths, how we appreciate strengths, and how we actually connect with other people from that place. And so the other piece I've learned is it doesn't come natural to us as human beings. So even if you look at the neuroscience and our psychology, we're not wired to look for beauty and strengths and what works. No, we're wired to look at what might go wrong and what are threats, or what is not going well, and let's fix that and solve that. And so I think my experience with salt is really this. It requires this constant, in my words, mindfulness or awareness to actually be reminded about what that practice is. Oh yeah, let's first look for strength. So I've been, again, exposed to this approach for many, many years, and still now today, it requires a lot of mindfulness, and I apply it mainly in 3 different areas in my life these days. One is in my work. So I'm leading a team. I'm running a personal development organization, and I have a team of 5 people. And I notice in my role as leading that team, it's very easy to fall into figuring out what's not going well, what's going wrong, what are problems, what people are not doing well, and then just correct that or do it for them, or which is almost how we're wired. And so every time I need to remind myself, okay, look for strengths. And I've learned over the years, there's always strengths. Sometimes you might think this is a hopeless situation, and there's really no way to look at this from a strength-based point of view, but there always is. If you practice well, and then you can tie into that, and then you can be more of a facilitator in my leadership role than a manager or telling people what to do. And so that's really the first area, and appreciating what people do. There's a great lack, I believe, in leadership today around appreciating what does go well. And it ties in a lot with employee engagement as well. People working for you, if you are actually making that a regular practice, in my experience, people are much happier at work and get more confident and eventually do much better work. So that's the first area, is work in my role as a leader. Secondly, I'm a coach as well. I'm an executive coach for the Asian Leadership Institute. So I work with business leaders, and I try to help them become better, whatever they want to choose to get better at. So become more effective, but also more happy. And so I work a lot on a one-on-one basis with executives and business leaders. And there again, I've learned having a strength-based approach, using SALT, both in terms of looking for strengths, appreciating what they're doing already, fully listening without any judgments, is absolutely crucial in that job. I mean, else, in my opinion, you can't really be a great coach. And so I help people now, individuals, to make positive long-term behavioral change. So I might work with a leader that needs to become more patient, or needs to deal better with his temper, or needs to delegate better. And so whenever I'm working with individuals to shift certain behavior, appreciation is crucial, because they'll try different things, but they fall back in their old patterns and they get discouraged, and they're maybe are desperate about, can I actually do this? They might stereotype themselves and saying, I can't do this. And so appreciation of even the small progress in all those conversations is really crucial to help them stay motivated and engaged. So that's the second area. I think SALT really helps me in my one-on-one coaching. And finally, at home, I mean, I've got a wife and a 1-year-old son. I mean, my son's name's Tao. He's 1 year and 4 months, and it takes a lot of our time and energy. And so you could quickly go into a mode where you're just very efficient as a couple. So we can like divide roles and become really, I think efficient is the word, right? Productive and just, but that sometimes draws away from the connection you truly feel, at least in my relationship with my wife. And so I've seen that a salty approach, a strength-based approach, where you actually come home and don't complain about what's not working and the negative stuff and point out what's not being done at home, to actually start from strengths and start from an appreciative question when you come home. And that's a long way to go. If you ask my wife, I'm not doing that every night. and so it's a practice. It's not something that you nail, and then it's kind of done. SALT. It's a continuous practice that requires continuous awareness. We are not wired as people to practice SALT, and the environment and the media and everything we're exposed to is also not conducive to that practice. So we need to be extra mindful. And I think that's my main takeaway.